Yet the stockpiles of material could not shield the Axis from the first harsh checks of 1942. In the Pacific, Japanese carriers steamed toward Midway, expecting another easy victory, only to meet American planes that struck without warning. Torpedo squadrons and dive bombers found the decks crowded with fueled aircraft, and within minutes, 4 of Japan's finest carriers burned and sank. The loss of pilots and planes could not be replaced quickly, and the Empire's advance across the ocean halted abruptly. Far to the west, Rommel's tanks reached the last ridges before Alexandria, before fuel and reinforcements ran short. At El Alamein, the British Eighth Army stood firm, its artillery and armour finally coordinated after months of retreat. When the counterattack came, German and Italian units fell back across the desert in a fighting withdrawal that stretched supply columns to breaking point. By November, the Axis forces had been driven from Egypt and pushed toward the Tunisian border, their dreams of Middle Eastern oil now distant. In the east, the fighting at Stalingrad turned into a grinding siege that swallowed entire divisions. House-to-house combat reduced the city to rubble, while Soviet armies maneuvered on the flanks. By late November, the German Sixth Army found itself encircled, its air supply inadequate against winter storms and determined fighters. Hitler refused permission to break out, insisting that the city be held at all costs. The result was slow starvation and the surrender of nearly 100,000 men in February 1943. These 3 reversals arrived within months of one another and forced Berlin and Tokyo to confront a different kind of war. Goebbels stepped before a carefully chosen audience in the Berlin Sportpalast and declared total war, calling on every German man and woman to sacrifice comfort and leisure for victory. Rationing tightened further, women entered factories in greater numbers, and luxury production ceased. In Tokyo, the High Command ordered the same shift, converting civilian shipyards to military use and extending conscription to include students and older workers. Both regimes now spoke openly of a struggle that would decide the fate of their nations rather than merely expand their borders. The industrial response proved uneven. German factories increased output of tanks and aircraft through longer shifts and forced labor. Yet Allied bombing began to disrupt rail lines and power grids. Japanese industry, already short of raw materials, struggled to replace the carrier losses at Midway, while American submarines tightened the noose around imported oil and steel. Propaganda ministries on both sides portrayed the setbacks as temporary tests of will, urging citizens to view every new shortage as proof of enemy desperation. By the close of 1943, the Axis powers had accepted that the conflict would be long and total. No single theater remained decisive. Instead, every resource, steel, fuel, manpower, and morale, had to be directed towards sustaining the fight on multiple fronts. The initiative had passed, yet the machinery of war, once set in motion, showed no sign of slowing.